so excited to have Pablo Montana with us as our guest. He is the director of tennis, just newly the director of tennis for the University of Delaware, as well as the head men and women's coach. And actually, you have quite the pedigree. So I'm actually going to do just a quick little recap of your bio. Since being named the head men's tennis coach in December of 2016, you have brought nothing but success to UD tennis. In your first season, 2016-17, the Hens posted the most wins, 9 since 2010-11 campaign. And then from there, they registered 17 wins in 18, 14 wins in 2019. Last season, you guys were on fire. You had 14 wins in a row. Looking at the history of UD, and the pandemic hit and you got shut down. And when you were able to play, you ended up with 14-1 record, which is a .93 winning percentage, which is the highest since 1974-75. Like, holy cow. However, prior to joining University of Delaware, you spent previous 14 seasons as the women's tennis coach of California University of Pennsylvania, where you built one of the nation's elite Division II programs. You are a 2-time ITA National Coach of the Year, 5-time ITA Regional Coach of the Year, and 8-time Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference Coach of the Year. You are the winningest coach in the program history with an outstanding record of 276 wins, 83 losses, and Cal U posted 12 straight appearances in the NCAAs and advanced to the quarterfinals 7 times in 8 seasons under you. And it goes on. I'm like, you have such a pedigree. And, you know, you and I were just talking, and Pablo, you are the most humble person I know. Like, it's that you're like, I don't want to brag. And yet at the same time, I really believe that there is a difference between owning your strength and having humility than coming across with ego. And that's not you. Like, you are this humble, hungry coach with this mindset to make life happen. And it's never about you, it's to really help bring others with you. And I just want to say, I am just so grateful to know you. And I had the pleasure, and I was saying this right before we started, I had the pleasure of having you in Bold in November 2019. And holy cow, just the things that you have done even since then. You know, I was saying, proud isn't even the right word. I am inspired by you because you are one of those people who, when you want something, you just you hone in on it. And there's nothing that deters you. And even if you fall down, you get back up and you're like, okay, but you follow this system and you are so dedicated to growth, to success, which is why your teams create so much success. So thank you for being here.
Gosh, of course. Thank you for having me, Mary. I don't even know where to start with that. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to be strong here, but that's unbelievable. What a nice compliment. And I mean, your energy and your enthusiasm is just second to none. It's, like obviously like a lot of my success these past 2 years, you are a huge, huge part of that. And your Bold programming and is awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. And I'm honored that you asked me to be on this. And yes, I am happy to help however I can. So thank you for having me.
Well, when you sent me this message, and so I have a journal out there called Someday Is Now, and I've been working on Level Up for literally 2.5 years. And it has gone through 3 proof readings and it's now 99% done. And you reached out and you said, I'm done with Someday Is Now. Do you have Level Up? And you said, if not, I'll go ahead. No worries. I'll go ahead and redo another one. And then you said, I just spoke to 200 campers and I was talking about what it means to embrace the uncomfortable, truly being bold and chasing the lion. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are my next speaker.
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, no. I mean, it's, I can't get enough of your journal books. They're awesome. They always get me in the right frame of mind in the morning. It's what really gets me, just excited when I get out of bed. I have so many thoughts that I just want to jot down. And that's one of my action steps that I do religiously that just helps me get in the right frame of mind as I attack the day.
That's awesome. Well, so before we jump into your topic, just tell us a little bit about you. How did you get involved in tennis? And how did you get involved with being a coach?
So I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida. Spent all my life there. I come from a tennis family. My dad, he taught me and my brother tennis. He played tennis at the University of Florida. He owned and operated two tennis clubs. We had a tennis court in our backyard growing up. I have an older brother who also had an amazing career at the professional level, a lot higher than me. So I always had him as a hitting partner with my dad, and the clubs that he had. It was always in my life. It was in my blood. Even my mom, even my mom would play tennis with us at early ages, and obviously growing up in Florida, you have awesome tennis weather. So yeah, it was always in my blood, and yeah, that's where I started.
So, how did you become a coach?
So I played my college tennis at the University of Tennessee, and I had an amazing experience there with my teammates, my coaches. I had two different head coaches, and they were awesome. I mean, they were awesome. And I just knew that if I didn't have a successful career at the ATP level on the professional tour, I knew that I wanted to be at this highest level in college coaching. So I'm thankful to my coaches for just giving me a great experience. I continue to talk to some of my coaches from that team. It's a small community in the tennis world, so we're always talking, and we're always picking each other's brains. But I knew that if I couldn't be a top professional player, then I wanted to get into college coaching.
So this is off. I told you this. I love to do this organically. So what makes you a great coach? What are the attributes that if we were to ask your team, what would they say about you?
I mean, it's always a learning process for sure. I mean, I would like to think I'm a different coach now at 27 than I am at 46. Um, I think the things that make a great coach, and honestly, just a great leader, just a great professional, or you need to be able to listen. I think you have to have a good listen, you know, and just good, just like a good listening skills, and just like the listening abilities. And I think I've gotten better with that. I don't think I've always been great at that. Um, so like, I think you need to be a good listener. I think you need to, as you go through experiences as a coach, I think you need to understand what's working, what's not working. I think you need to be adaptable. I think you need to be flexible. Um, and I think you just need to, yeah, I mean, like you need to go with the times. I mean, obviously, COVID last year, I think affected a lot of us, obviously, right? And you just have to be willing to just go with the changes.
Well, and that correlates. I mean, we have business leaders that watch this as well as individuals, and always look at the athletic world. It correlates with business and life so much because
For
it's
sure.
the same thing. As a leader, we have to be great listeners. We have to have that adaptability, that flexibility. And you're right. With COVID. So what was the mindset? You're going in. You are 14. You have 14 wins in a row, best record ever. What happened with the team?
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, very emotional. Gosh, I don't really have a very good memory, but I can remember that day like as if it happened yesterday. And it was, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of crying, just like a lot of vulnerability, which is something that that I adapted from Bold as well. But that we understood, this is life. This is bigger than tennis. Obviously, I mean, like a pandemic that is taking lives all over the world. This is bigger than tennis. So I think it was a good reality check for me, for my players, for our university. And I think what made it easier is that we were sharing this with everybody, right? So it's not just our members from our community, but this affected everybody, obviously across the country, across the world. So like I feel like we could, lean on one another.
So how did that help you coming into this last season?
I mean, I think just gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. I mean, everybody was so grateful, including myself, myself, my players, a lot of our colleagues, a lot of my friends, a lot of my players, friends, like a lot of these schools, they were in bad shape. They had to cut their programs because of the finances from COVID. A lot of these schools, they had to let, I think, a few of their coaches go because it just wasn't, it wasn't, it wasn't, like in the cards right there. They just couldn't afford to keep all these programs and whatnot. So, we were just very grateful and just very thankful, and that's something that we do a lot with our teams anyway. Is just always having that attitude of gratitude. But I mean, that was one thing that was for sure apparent, in our season this year, is just grateful just to be out there and playing and competing.
So have you always had that or taught that, the attitude of gratitude?
I think that's probably more recent, maybe in the last couple of years. Again, I think your bold training has also, inspired me, to make that one of our core values. I
Mm.
think it's so important, and I know the research will show that people that are just more grateful, that just have that attitude of gratitude are just more happy, and they're just happier people. And ironically, we tend to play better too. If we're talking about our player development and our performance, we just play better when we're in a better state of mind. And that's something that we do now. Like before every match, we always get into a gratitude circle and we just say something that we're thankful about. And again, it's like it's a powerful thing to see, 8 guys, 10 girls, in a circle, like just sharing what they're really, really appreciative for.
That's amazing. Like that gives me goosebumps because you don't see that. Like we don't see that the people who are willing to be that vulnerable, it's one thing to have the attitude of gratitude by yourself and to journal it, and I've seen other coaches do that where the players keep journals. Yet to get in a huddle and say, hold on, before we play, what are we grateful for? And not just before we play, even practice, because you're absolutely right. All those studies show that gratitude unlocks the brain to creativity, to health. When you're grateful, you're not focused on problems. You're not focused on the negativity. You're focused on what is possible. And
Mhm.
gratitude just unlocks something different.
I agree. No, it's been magical for us,
Hmm.
and it's a huge part of our culture now. It is a huge part of our culture. You know, obviously, like it's one of our core value words that we do with everyone. But yeah, gratitude has just been awesome for us.
So, what does chase the lion mean?
Yeah, no, I think like for me personally, it means just to go after it. Don't hold back. No regrets, no reserve, no retreat. Go after it. You only have one shot at this, right? Like we're not getting any younger. If we're not getting better every day, we're getting worse. So for me, chase the lion is to go after your dreams with no fear, and just to give it everything you got. Go to bed at night exhausted, knowing that you did everything you can to get a little bit closer, to your goals and your dreams.
Where did that come from? Where did that phrase come from?
So yeah, I mean that's you told me about the book Run to the Roar. Gosh, I'm forgetting the coach's name now from Trinity College,
Oh,
but
Sante.
he's awesome. What a great book that was too, and just I mean, what an amazing mind he has. But I just love the story behind running to the roar. Again, I believe it came from your class as well, Bold. But as I've done more research on it, it's just amazing how like lions in the wild, like a male lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles, which is crazy. Um, but the story behind it, obviously, like as you know, Mary, is when they're hunting in the wild, it's the female lions, right, that are in the bush, that are in the tall grass, and they get the older male lion who's a little bit, I guess, like who's a little bit weaker now, who's a little bit more frail and like a little more fragile. But they get that male lion, right in front of the watering hole where the antelope go or the prey go to drink. And when that male lion sends out that roar, it's obviously very frightening. And the antelope, they start running away from it, right? And they start scattering, unbeknownst to them, knowing that they're falling right into that trap now, right? And that's where that's where they get hunted. Whereas if they can just run towards that roar, towards that fear, their chances of survival are a lot greater, obviously. So that just really, really resonates with me. And just, we're often, I think a lot of humans, I don't want to speak for everybody, but we tend to back down from our fears. We tend to back down from our obstacles and our challenges. And that's one thing that I really learned from you, Mary, in our class, from 2019 is, there's no growth if there's no challenge, there's no growth if there's no obstacle. So, I mean, I found myself, always trying to, just trying to step out of my comfort zone a little bit each and every day. Every time an opportunity comes that in the past I would have said no, I'm trying to say yes a little bit more, and just seeing how I can grow and make myself a little better.
So how do you teach that to your players? How do you teach that concept to your players?
So I think there's a lot of things, that we do. I mean, obviously, like when we play better opponents, we know they're better than us sometimes, but like we'll go into that match with the mindset that, hey, the expectation is to win this. We are going to win this match. We're going to believe we're going to win this match, and we're going to walk tall, and we're going to stick our chests out, and we're going to, have that mindset that this is ours. In practices, we love the Amy Cuddy experiences that you showed us as well in Bold. Just getting our arms up, like, and just expanding ourselves and just getting large. And that's uncomfortable, like for a lot of people, that's uncomfortable to do, like it's just to walk around 5, 6, 7 tennis courts for like 5 minutes at a time with our arms up. We'll have like a powerful affirmation that each one will share. I'm a champion. I am bold. I am beautiful. I am confident. I'm a winner. I think those small things right there about embracing the comfortable, the more you do it, the more you start, becoming a little bit more brave, and courageous and bold. So, those are small things that we do, as we talked about, like our gratitude circle. Sometimes I think that can be a little uncomfortable for people at times, just to get around a group and, and just share something what they're thankful for. But those are little strategies that we tend to do on occasion.
Well, and they can't do it unless you're doing it. It goes back
For
into
sure.
it's the law of the lid. It's the leader, right? The leader caps the growth or helps grow their teams. And wherever you are, your team is right underneath, but they mirror what you're doing.
No
So
question.
as you grew and as you grew and as you grew, as you continue to grow and you teach that, because you can't teach what you don't do. So when I listen to you being that coach, your players follow you because of your ability to do that, to set that example.
No, for sure. I think, I think it's okay to be a little foolish sometimes, like I think faithfulness is actually acting foolish at times. And if you want to call that foolish or whatnot, that's fine. But you're right. It all starts from me, and I believe it and I own it. And, that's where I think the true buy-in comes, and that's when it happens, when they see me doing that, and they see me crying, or they see me getting my arms up, or they see me saying something that I'm thankful for, or they see me doing something that's out of the norm. I think that inspires them to want to, just to get that all trust and that buy-in.
For people who are listening to this now or listening to it later, and if they're not doing this and they want to create a culture of trust, a culture of gratitude, a culture of winning, how would they start?
So yeah, I mean, like I think it starts by just getting out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. A little bit each day. You don't have to go 100% on that first day. Just do something small every day that's going to challenge you. Like for me, it's like trying to go and meet someone new every day and going to introduce myself to someone new. Like it started with me at church. And just when I worship, like it started with me just you know just by trying to lift my arms up in praise, and maybe just trying to sing out a little bit more loudly, I think until you start to really do that, it's going to be more and more hard and more challenging. So you got to find those small things that are going to challenge your comfort zone so you can get out of your shell, just at times each day.
I love that. I mean, it's looking at the little things, but until we do it, it's the most people it's fear, right? So it's the lion. It is, and I always say the acronym is false evidence appearing real. So here's your fear, here's the lion roar. It's like, oh, what are people gonna think? What's gonna happen?
Yeah,
I'm gonna look stupid. So what? What's the worst thing
exactly.
that can happen? All right, so you look
Exactly.
stupid, right? But the best thing is that you grow
Yeah.
and you're able to do what you're doing now.
No, you're right. I think that's unfortunate that we're still in a society where a lot of us are just scared to be judged, I think that's human nature. I mean, like I'd be lying if I didn't say, oh gosh, like I got to be careful because like I'm going to be judged here. I mean, like I still feel it at times, but I'm more aware of it now. It doesn't matter. I mean, what's the worst thing that happens? So what? They think I'm a little crazy. They think I'm a little stupid. That's okay. I know who I am. I'm growing. I know what I'm capable of doing. um, you're exactly right. That's how we continue to grow when we don't really care about what others are thinking.
So, what is your playbook for success? What are those principles that you live by and you teach?
So for me, it's a formula. It's a philosophy that I got from. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Great book. And one of their philosophies there in that book is consistent, daily, repeated actions plus time equals inconquerable results. And that's a philosophy that it just, man, like it just really sticks with me, because it's all about small daily action steps, but it has to be daily. We can't afford to take a day off of of not doing those small little things that are going to get us better. If we're getting 1% better every day, a year from now, I mean, that's an amazing, growth, that is taking place. So it's about doing those daily action steps every single day, and they're easy to do, but they're easy not to do also. So we have to find that time, and we have to find that discipline that no matter what, we're going to get this done. I love that quote that I saw on your webpage the other day, Mary. It was from The Rock, where it said, there's one thing to be hungry for success, but there's another to be starving for success, right? And if you look at The Rock, he's everywhere, right? He's on every TV show, he's on every movie. I mean, the guy is just an absolute workhorse. He's a monster. And I mean, that's the thing. It's the small daily action steps that we have to do every day. Um, and like I often get upset when I hear people say, that are around me, that are my friends and that are my players, and that's in my group. Well, I don't have time. Well, you got to find the time. You got to make the time. You've got to fit in that time, because it can be done, and it's absolutely necessary.
I love what you just said, though. It's the little things, it's the things that are easy to do, but it's also the things that are easy not to do.
No question. No
And it
question.
and it really comes down to that choice. I was reading something that was talking about the gap. So self-discipline is the gap between setting the goal and actually accomplishing the goal. So you have to have that vision, you have that goal, but the self-discipline comes in and it's that gap. It closes the gap to the accomplishment, which is what you're talking about, is that it's the little things. And I always talk about the 1%, right? It's what is 1% that you can do today that will make you better? What's 1% tomorrow? So do you teach the players? Do they know what their 1% is every day?
Yeah, they do. I mean, look, like in our sport in tennis, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of other sports and a lot of other fields in life. It's all about the repetition, 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 but of course, doing it with the right mindset. I mean, like, we have to have that attitude that we're going to get better and we're going to push ourselves. We're going to push ourselves. We're going to push ourselves. Out there, our competition, we have to assume is doing this and they're getting better. So, yeah, I mean, like in our sport, there's no substitution for ball repetition. So, every time we step out there, every time we come through the gates of the tennis courts, I call those it's the door of concentration. When we walk through those gates, that door, we have our blinders on, all right? And for those 2 hours that we're there at practice, Obviously, there's no cell phones, there's no nonsense. Let's just go out there and get better. And yeah, I mean, it's all about just putting in the work and just doing it every day consistently.
Do you track it? Do you have like a scoreboard so that they know how they're getting better?
So we do individually at times we can do that with our individual types of things. So, we'll have a little it's like a little process goal of spending 45 minutes per week just on your serves alone outside of the team practice. We'll have another goal of hitting 200 volleys per week, which is nothing, just on the wall on your own time, just these small little things. So they have daily, they have these little checklists on their locker room that they're checking off,
And
that
they
they can
do it?
see.
And they do it?
They do it. They do it. Yeah. I mean, like I still have to get on them, just to make sure that they are doing this. I mean, they're college kids still, but like I think those are things that they can see. I always like to say that that our actions are going to speak louder than our words, right? And our results are going to happen as we're doing the things on a daily thing. I don't think it's good to always focus on the outcome goals, but we got to focus on the process goals and what's going to happen to get us to this point.
Dang. At listening to you, it really is, it's a culture that you've created, because I hear different coaches that are like, oh my gosh, I just wish I could get my players to do this. Wish I could get them to do this on their own time. And it creates it sounds like a culture of accountability. Yes, there's still some nudging, but they're doing it. So they're buying in, and to have the attitude of gratitude and to have them get big and to still do those things. But it goes back into those little tiny consistent things that you can do every day. That's easy to do and easy not to do. And
That's exactly right. Yeah.
and making the time. And I love what you said. There's somebody gave me an analogy once, and I can't remember where it came from. It was a 20-20-20 rule when it comes to exercising, because sometimes people are like, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to get to move my body. However, you can do 20 sit-ups, you can do 20 push-ups, you can do 20 squats, something that gets your body moving, which is whatever you put in motion stays in motion, whatever's at rest stays at rest, right? And I just remember that 20-20-20 is the easy thing. It's the 1%. And what we find is human nature is when you see those little tiny things like, oh, but I can do more, because we get success.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. And yeah, it's I've been very fortunate to have good leaders on my team as well, and it is a culture of gratitude, but it's also a culture of competitiveness as well. All right, and when you have good captains on your team and you have good leaders on your team as well, they can also relay that message through their example. I mean, I think your example is your best form of trying to get the point across, right? And when if and when one person is slacking off, that's when our leaders can also just jump in and just relay that message that it's not just hurting you, but it's hurting the team. Because every member on this team plays a very important role. Whether you're playing number 1 on my team or you're playing number 12 on my team, every member has a very specific, unique, and powerful role that we have to just always be on that same page. And that's that's always helped me a lot. Just having great assistant coaches, great captains, and it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, owning the role.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So before I ask you this next question, just those of you watching, for some reason it says Facebook Live is going. If you have questions or comments, absolutely put them in. I'll see if I can pull them up. If you're on the webinar live, if you have questions or comments, absolutely put them in there, and we'll make sure that we ask Pablo as time allows. So in regards to coaching experiences, what were some of your biggest opportunities to learn, which correlates to some of your challenges, some of your failures? What were your greatest lessons?
So I was a pretty young head coach. I got my first head coaching job at 27 years of age with California University of Pennsylvania. Prior to that, I was the assistant men's tennis coach with Vanderbilt University, and I did that for 2.5 years. over in Nashville. So I think, some of my lessons as a head coach, I mean, yes, I mean, like I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure I continue to make mistakes. But that's the thing right now too, is that I'm not afraid to make mistakes. I think that's part of, trying to get to that next level and to level up is, be willing to make mistakes. Um, but yeah, I think, as an early, at an early head coaching time in my life when I was younger, maybe I used to motivate more through fear, like I think I could get the most out of my players, just by, always putting a consequence, if they weren't there on time, or if they weren't doing the right things at practice. It was all about, win, 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 this is what we have to do. And, I still see a lot of coaches that do coach like that in like a lot of sports. It's not me, it's not me. And, I think it's not bad if that's what is working for you. But for me, as I've gotten older, I think motivation through love is definitely a lot more powerful. I think it lasts longer. I think it's going to be more, yeah, it's just going to be more enduring. I think my feeling is a motivation through fear. It's more temporary.
Did you have any, when you did that, did you have any feedback or players that left because of it?
Sure. Yeah. No, probably my first few years as a head coach, I did have a few players transfer out. I'd like to think it was more of a mutual decision, more, me not wanting them also not wanting to be there. Um, and you just never know at times. Sometimes, Mary, as you're recruiting these players, it's you can do all the vetting, you can do all the background searches. You never know what's going to happen until they actually get on campus, right? And they start to experience a new culture, and just a new environment. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have not had any players transfer out yet at Delaware, which I think is a good thing, right? But again, that's not. I mean, that's not. I'm not coaching like that. I'm not going to coach because I'm afraid that like a player is going to transfer here or there. I'm very convicted. I know what I believe. I'm not so stubborn to the fact where I can take feedback. Like if something's not working. But yeah, I'm always going to coach to what I think is right in my heart.
Isn't it interesting how when you coach from fear and not just coach, like lead from fear, what happens? Because you can see the consequence, you can see the ripple effect. And then when you coach from gratitude or from your beliefs or your values, what happens? And I think the clearer you get on who you are, your why, what's important, and you hire that way or you recruit that way, you get the right people long
No
term.
question. Yeah, no, I mean and that's what you want, right? I mean, I've made the mistake for sure of going after that stud who is going to be awesome on my team, but on the back of my mind, it's like, gosh, is this person the right fit though? Is this person going to adapt to our culture? Is this person going to, be a good teammate? Is this person going to be the best for the team rather than be the best on the team? So I've made that mistake, and but again, it's still, like I still think it's impossible to know that you're going to get a player that's going to automatically just buy into the system and to adapt. I think once they get to campus and once they experience it, that's when I feel that I'm good at is, just to try to get them to adapt into our culture and our environment, into what we believe in our core values. Um, so yeah, I just recently read this book by Laura Garnett, The Genius Habit. And, one of the things I think I'm good at is just becoming a good to great strategist. I can take something that's good and I like to think I can turn it into great. And obviously the tennis part of it is, like a big part of it, but it's off the tennis, I think, where I can have most of the impact that's going to help them play their best tennis.
I love what you just said, the good to great. And it is taking the good, but how do I make it even better? and looking at your skill set. And what I know about you is, and I was saying this earlier, is like you are so laser focused. You love systems, like you love systems beyond the system, and you will follow that system to a T. And when you're talking about feedback, one of the things, so I got to know you later in life, and seeing you in Bold was you were one of the most hungry, open, teach me, just this person who was just like, I want to be better. Like, I don't know what I don't know, and help me understand. But it didn't stop there. You know, a lot of times people will go through some type of a development course or read a book, and it's like, oh, you know, that's good. I got a few things. But it's what do they do with it afterwards? And one of the things about you, Pablo, is that you applied it. Like you were still like reaching out. And every once you still reach out. It's just like, do you have any ideas for books? Or you're constantly pushing, but it's the system. So how would you encourage people to create a system, especially a system that works for you? If they don't have a system that's working, what are the core components of your system?
Ah, gosh, yeah. So I would, it just depends what motivates you, everyone's different, I think, I think a lot of people are motivated by money, which I think that's fine. Everybody likes money, I think, obviously to some extent. So, I mean, after Bold, I just really have just been reading a lot. I mean, just consistently, that's part of my daily action steps. Like I love this quote, the more you learn, the more you earn.
Mm.
But I think it's until you understand what your why is. What is your why? What are you good at? What are you passionate at? What do you believe in? What convicts you? I think once you figure that out, then you start developing your systems. And like it wasn't until recent, like it wasn't until your class that I figured out what my why is. I've been doing this for the wrong reasons. Maybe I was doing it for the money or for the fame or for the recognition. Um, and then, I think those were the wrong reasons. When I understood my why and for the first time in my adult life, my why, I truly believe my why is really just to help others, to inspire others, to spread positivity, just to be just a good example. I have such an amazing platform, and all of us as coaches and as leaders, we have amazing platforms to really, just to really impact the lives of others in a positive way. And the funny thing is, Mary, is that, as I focused on that, as I've really focused on my why and what I'm good at, other things that I used to crave have happened. I mean, it's, like, it's funny, I mean, it's funny how that works. When you don't focus so much on the fruit, but you focus on the root,
Yeah.
then you bear the fruit, right? So, that's the main thing for me. It's just, I get it now. I have an understanding of what it is I'm called to do.
I just love the passion in you. Like it just comes out of you. And it is a belief, and you can't fake that passion. You can't fake that belief, that fire. And it's I still want to call you Serena. So for those of you who are listening or listen later, his class was one of my two full male classes at Bold, and they really were this brotherhood. And his whole class, they had nicknames for each other. And Pablo, because he was a tennis player and tennis coach, he became Serena.
That's funny.
I know.
That is funny. Yeah. I think it's because that's the only tennis player they knew. They knew Serena. But yeah, no, it's a funny nickname, and it's a good nickname. Like I often still talk to our guys, and yeah, it's always Serena.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
So I have a question for you. What is your favorite book of all times?
My favorite book of all time. So, gosh, I mean, I've read so many. I mean, it's honestly, since your class, I've been, and I'm not a good reader either. I'm a very slow reader, but I just recently read again for the second time is Chase the Lion by Mark Batterson, which is your recommendation, and just an awesome, awesome book. I just really love how it just gets me thinking. It's a great faith-based book as well. It's all about being bold. It's all about being courageous. And that's a book, honestly, that I think I need to read at least once a year. That book really had a huge impact on me. The other book that I was talking about, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, awesome book, and it's all about habits. It's all about your daily action steps. Another book that I read recently too, and I'm drawing a blank on the author, but it's Infinite Possibilities. And it's all about just like the law of attraction, and it's also I feel like it's faith based, and just what you believe. If you truly believe it, you're going to achieve it, but you have to act like it's already there. And that's something that I've done on changing some of my goals. Is right now some of my goals and some of my dreams are as if they've already happened. So as I'm trying to attract that into my life, I try to put that down there as it's already happened. Um, so that was a pretty powerful book as well.
So what book are you reading or listening to right now?
So right now, I just started Win the Day, also by Mark Batterson. I'm very early into it. I just like him as an author. Again, he's very strong in his faith, but he's just like I love all the lessons that he teaches in all of his books.
It's crazy. I'm actually doing the devotional Win the Day right now.
Okay, he's awesome.
It's so good. So good.
He's great. Yeah.
So in regards to where you are right now, if you were a kid again, what would you tell that young child that was moving along the journey of life? So knowing what you know now, and if you were a kid again, what advice could you give to your young self?
Oh, that's a good question. I would probably say just be patient. Be patient, slow down. Sometimes to go fast, you got to slow down sometimes, right? As you can tell, like I talk very fast. I'm pretty anxious. I always eat fast. I always try to get to the next place. Slow down, slow down, enjoy life, enjoy the moment, enjoy the process. Uh, an acronym that I often use with my players that they'll laugh about, but I always say TNT, which stands for today, not tomorrow. Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously it's good to plan for the future, right? It's good to learn from the past, but stay in the present moment and just really enjoy it. You have so much to be thankful for, and just, really just take your time.
I love that. Love that. TNT, today, not tomorrow. There's a quote that's going up sometime this week, and it said, yesterday ended last night. I love it because
that's good.
We have today. That's all we have. Yeah. We can't change the past. We can absolutely learn from it. Tomorrow hasn't happened. So it's someday is now.
I love that. And that's why it's a present, right? Because it is a gift, right? It is a gift, and that's why it is the present. No, that's awesome.
So I have one more question for you. I had someone said, I want some random questions in there. So to answer this, I feel like a kid again when
Oh, okay. So I feel like a kid again when I'm with my family. I mean, honestly, I just love being with my family, and I can let my walls down. I mean, I feel like I always do that, but like I feel like with my family, I can let my walls down. In a few weeks, we're going to go to Universal Studios for vacation. I mean, I'm the biggest kid there. I'm always the first one in line. Just getting ready for the rides. Yeah, like I think that, yeah, like I just love to hang out with them.
Do the players see that side of you?
I think so. Yeah. I think as we do our are embracing the uncomfortableness, our trust falls that, even before bowls, like I was doing some trust falls as well with my teams. I think they can see that. Yeah. And, we often do some team building and, just some team bonding experiences where we open up with each other. If you really knew me, you would know that this is about me. Right. So yeah, I think at times they do see that. You're probably not going to see it on the first team meeting or the second team meeting, but I think as we go throughout the season, they'll start doing quotes, like on what I'm doing. At times, as they embrace the uncomfortable, I'll let them make fun of me, as we got, like also from the bowl class as well. So like they'll get in a circle and at times, like a few of them, like we'll get in a circle and they'll do all my quotes, all my mannerisms. So yeah, I'd like to say they can see my walls come down.
It's awesome. So what's your next level? What is the chase the lion for you that will help you level up?
Yeah, I mean, as I'm focusing on my route, I want to keep growing every day. I don't want to stay stagnant. I can talk about my process goals and what I want to, I can talk about my outcome goals and what I want to accomplish. But I mean, I just think for me, chasing the lion is doing things like this. I mean, I'm not, I don't think I'm a very confident person. This is not something that is definitely in my comfort zone, like doing interviews like this or being on like a live stream. But as I told you the other day, I was asked to do it's like a 30-minute session in front of 200 staff members here at my camp. Like what this means. So, like I think that's what I'm trying to get better at as well. Just to get out there more, get out of my comfort zone, like go meet more people. If I can help one person every day become a better person, that's awesome for me. Like I want to continue growing in my faith. I want to be a good example to others.
So this is your podium, so to speak. So last words, what message do you want to get out to people that maybe you haven't talked about yet that you believe would help inspire them?
Yeah, so I just recently found this quote as I was talking to a few of my colleagues and friends here. If you're willing to do more than you are paid to do, eventually you will be paid to do more than you do. If you're in a situation right now where you're unhappy or you feel like you should be getting paid more or this and that, just, I would say one, you got to make sure that this is the right situation for you, where you have the platform to be who you are. And, this is where you can have your zone of genius and where you can have, that opportunity to really express your why. And if you are, great. If you're not, then maybe you need to, probably, keep a look, to just, maybe search for something that can help you get to that point. But in your current situation, do the best job that you can do, and just, don't complain. Be humble, be hungry, be thankful. Eventually, your breakthrough is going to happen, especially right when you're about to face those challenges.
Be starving for success.
I love that.
Yeah. Pablo, I just want to say thank you just for showing up. It's crazy because you say I don't see myself as a confident speaker, but you're passionate and that passion pulls people in and you're so real. And the message that you have, I really believe, I know it absolutely touched me. If there are people who want to get in contact with Pablo, let me know and I'll forward their information to you. And again,
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being that role model, an amazing coach and mentor, because it is that ripple effect. Not only it is on the court with your team, but you're creating amazing men and women who are going to take it into their lives, into their communities, into their jobs and whatever they do. Just thank you. Thank you for chasing the lion.
No, absolutely, Mary. Thank you for having me, and thank you for just, even just considering me. I'm truly honored. So thank you.
I'm honored. Well, next week, we actually have Ryan Higginbotham from TCU Women's Soccer, assistant coach. And so he's going to be on here. So we will see you next week. And again, Pablo, thank you. And bye for now.